So today it's really just about getting through the introductory part, making sure that your expectations are consistent with what we're trying to do here. And moreover, just get some of the logistical links and procedures out of the way. Introduced the team here at QISC 500. Also, we have a poll or two that we've prepared that will ask you a few questions. We're not going to get very personal in this particular class meeting, the first class meeting, because there's a lot of people here, and you know, many of you will fade away as the weeks go on, more than likely. But right now it's about setting expectations, making sure that you are clear with what we're trying to do here, and we're clear as to how we're going to go about this course. If time allows, we'll get into a little bit of Python, but not really a great deal. I suspect we might be running short on time today, but we'll have to see how that goes. I'm going to pause a little bit and drag on here in the beginning, because I do want to make sure we don't have to say things 2 or 3 times in this course. So if you all can, you know, sit back and relax and grab a cup of coffee or tea, or some of you have later time zones, go get something to drink. And let me just talk a little bit about the course as we kind of pause here. First of all, this course, and I will repeat this many times, first of all, this is not a 4-credit course. This is not necessarily sponsored by any university. What we are doing here in this project is really providing a free version of a course that we hope will be a university course someday, but this is a dry run, an alpha version of the course. And what that means is that, first of all, you don't get any credit, college credit for the course. That also means you don't pay anything as well. So everybody involved in producing this course is a volunteer, so please keep that in mind. No one's getting paid for this. Although we hope, you know, again, down the road, we can demonstrate to a university that this course is a useful project, a useful course to offer, and that there's demand from you all. So keep that in mind. This is not a course sponsored by any university at this point. Now, since we're not sponsored by any university at this point, or any entity at this point, we have a lot of flexibility as to what we can do. We're not boxed in as to what we can do, how we do it, and that sort of thing. So that's a really good thing. I'll put the link into the chat again. I'll have to put this initial link into the chat several times, because the chat is not observable by people that come in later. So forgive the redundancy here. But that link that I put in is for the class, is for now, think of it as our central point for this group. And here's where we will communicate. Here's where the instructors will put artifacts, documents, and things like that for you. And I'll refer to it. We will refer to it a great deal today, to the items in this at this link. What we're trying to do here is, from our side, from the instructor side, is build a course. Now, typically in a university course, you'll start the course, and you know, everything, all 14 weeks for the entire semester have been laid out. You know, the assignments have been created. The subject matter has been completely designed and vetted with administrators and all that sort of thing. This course is a work in progress. We will be adapting, if not weekly, perhaps hourly. So, I'd appreciate and it'd be to your benefit to keep this in mind. We do not have a set path on this course, and all aspects are work in progress. So that could be extremely frustrating if you're not expecting that. But bear with it. We want to get to the point where everything is predictable, everything is planned, and as a student, exactly what we're doing this week, exactly what we're doing next week, and all that good stuff. So keep flexible if you would. That would be greatly appreciated. And by this, on that same note, though, your feedback, your comments on things that we don't beat us up for mistakes, because there's going to be a lot. But your comments, your feedback, ways to make the course experience, the course outcomes, etc., the course logistics better, by all means, get that to us somehow, some way, because that's what this is all about, building a course that meets your needs. So do get that stuff to us, but again, expect mistakes and faux pas, like emails with sentences that don't complete. Like, I understand I sent the redo email this morning. I guess I missed a sentence or two, or referred to tomorrow instead of today, and all that sort of thing. So fortunately, someone sent me the note. You know who you are, who's keeping an eye on such things. So please send that stuff to me, to us, so that we are aware of it, and so we can kind of correct it. So to correct the email that went out, we do not have a tomorrow in this class. We have a next week. Let me just check the in number here. We got 664 right now. I'll kind of drone on for a few more minutes just in case that number changes. Again, so we don't have to repeat things. So the purpose of this course is to not necessarily train you or teach you anything new like a typical course. We don't know what will be new to you, what will be reviewed to you, because this is an open class. And so everyone, all 64 of you, all have different backgrounds, different situations, different levels of education, different levels of experience. Some of you, I suspect, have already taken quantum computing courses. If not, go to it, because they're a lot of fun. The goal here is to bring the participants up to a level of understanding of the subject matter that's necessary to be successful should you enter a master's degree program in a quantum technology. So I suspect for many of you, this class will be extremely boring at times, and that's a good thing. That's a positive signal. Some of you might be a bit frustrated because we'll be covering topics that are entirely new to you. If that's the case, I would argue that that's good, because that means you have a hole in your knowledge inventory that needs to be filled, because when you get into that master's program, hopefully you will, you'll need those skills already. Master's level education is quite different than undergraduate level in many ways, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But the idea here is to bring you up to that level so that you can enter these programs and not be behind. So that's what you want to be thinking about in this course. I would be delighted if at the end of this course you can report back that you didn't learn anything. That's a great outcome. All right, so this is an unusual course. This course is designed and is born from the what happens when anyone enters graduate school. Typically, a graduate school program will have a session at the very beginning of the program for new people, where they pound you with what we will be covering in 14 weeks. They'll pound you in literally one day and just kind of throw all this stuff at you and expect that you understand it, even if it's entirely new. They expect that you understand it by the following Monday, because it will be expected when you enter your courses, when you take your first courses. So in our situation, we have the luxury of having 14 weeks to learn this stuff, should you need to learn it, rather than 2 days. And I've been in that situation in my advanced education. That's exactly what happens. You get a primer or a refresher, and if any of that stuff is new, you may be in trouble. So that's what we're trying to eliminate for everyone. Now, one of the big benefits of doing this is that, and I think a really significant and important artifact of you all taking this course and completing it, of course, we see it as a valuable addition to your master's degree application when you apply. So if you're taking this course, and most of you might be in this situation, most of you have not been accepted into a master's program yet. You're aspiring to entering a master's program. And what we hope and what we're designing this course to be, not only to bring you up to speed, but also be a something that you could report in your application to the school or schools that you're interested in attending, or at least applying to. So what I'm saying is that the report that we produce, the grade, if you want to think of it that way, because we will produce a grade-like document for those that complete the course. We will give you a document at the completion that reports your efforts and energy and progress in this course. It's an unofficial document at this stage because we're not sponsored by an educational institution yet, but it will be a document that you can include in your application package to your quantum technology program that you're applying to. And that document, we are striving towards, on our side and on the instructor's side, we're striving to make it so that that document has value, not only to you, but more importantly, represents some value to the person looking at that document with your name on it in the applications committee at your respective universities. So that's the tangible outcome of this course, is that you'll have some sort of document reflecting really two things when it comes to this report. It'll reflect it'll reflect the obvious. It'll reflect, okay, this student has this level of knowledge about Python, or has this level of knowledge about mathematics, or has a certain level of knowledge about physics. And that is, and the second thing is, which is really important, is that document serves as evidence that you've got grit. And what I mean by grit is, there's lots of words that I guess define grit, but the way I think of the word grit is that you've got, the student has the persistence to go the long haul, to stay with a 14-week course, to stay with getting over and getting into topics that are difficult. That grit, the ability to document your grit. I know many of you have grit. This is not a grit-free topic, this quantum technology stuff. So what this document hopefully will do is you'll be able to document and demonstrate your grit to these admissions committees that need to make a decision whether they'll invite you into their program or not. So keep that in mind. There's two aspects to this. One is the grit aspect, and frankly, I think sometimes that's the hardest part, at least for me. And then the knowledge bit. Actually, I think that's difficult for me too sometimes as well. But that's what the document is designed, that we're, the outcome and the artifact from this course, that document will be, we're working on that to make sure that that document reflects who you are so that you can include it with your application package. Now what's happening, and it looks like we stabilized, good, okay. We stabilized a number of people. So I'm gonna start to get off the rambling bit here, although I'm a famous rambler, but I depend on Deb to stop me if I ramble too much. So what is happening that behind the scenes that you don't see for this course is, start camera and Mike. Yeah, Mike, you're, Michael, you are, you have host capabilities, I believe. Hold on a second, pause here, folks. That's weird. Deb, yeah, you must have.
Yeah, I have it.
You're good. All right, there you go. Thanks.
There we
Michael.
go. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to
No,
get my face on there.
That's cool. Interruptions are good in classrooms because give me time, gives me anyway time to think. So that means somebody else is co-host. So yeah, Deb, me. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, now we're good. Okay, so what we are doing behind the scenes, the stuff that you folks don't see, is that we are in close collaboration with the master's degree programs that I'm speaking of. And let me add a link here into the chat. Let me add this one link here. So I'll repeat this link here. This is the kind of course artifact site. So that's that one. And then everyone should be familiar with this site, the master's degrees triquantum.org. If not, bookmark that bad boy. And no comments on the GUI aspect of this particular site. What is the main focus of this site is the information. So this site is a site that's been maintained starting about a year ago. And the goal of this master's degree triquantum.org site is to serve as a repository for information about the master's degree programs going on anywhere in the world. And so it's been out there for the past year, maintained regularly. There are more and more master's degree programs coming online. currently, if I take a look at it, in fact, you know what? I'll just share my screen here quick. You don't have to look at me. There we go. So this site here, I think many of you are familiar with it, but the value of this site is that every program globally that has something to do with quantum technology, master's degree level, is listed in this on this site. It is accurate, but there's always a new piece of information that comes out periodically, a new program that gets added. I just added a new program last week because new programs are popping up around the world as we speak. And so that's what makes this site valuable. I have people coming to me saying that this program is starting here and that program starting there. We're constantly on the lookout for new programs, et cetera. So this program listing here, you could consider the most accurate listing, frankly, in the planet, if I might say. If any of you know of programs that are missing, in particular places like India, Russia, China, et cetera, they're very difficult for me to follow in on. So we got annotations running, so got to make sure that is removed. There we go. So anyway, this is a valuable list, and it's designed for you, the future students, to be a checklist. It's not perfect right now, but the information in there is valid. It will, over time, start to be will start to gradually be more informative for you. But right now, just having the names of these programs and a link to those programs, I think is gold-like. What I'm getting to is that this course we are in regular and routine contact with the program managers for these master's degree programs. Currently there are 35 programs here. I've personally spoken to 30 of them at least. I still have, it takes a long time to connect with these professors. But this course is designed with these programs in mind. And to date, we've talked to 9 of these programs specifically about what their subject matter requirements are for their students. I don't need to identify the specific 9, but basically, in short, I've started with the US universities. So I've talked to most of the US and Canada universities already, talked to the Australian universities, and I'm about to embark on talking to the European universities. The point is that the design of this course is entirely a function of what these programs are telling us. So we're not, the instructors in this course are not talking about subject matter because we think it's cool or we think it's important. The main takeaway of what I'm trying to say here is we are talking to these program directors. We are getting lists of subject matters or particular book chapters or whatever it might be from, each university is different. We are getting that list of prerequisite knowledge that they expect for their day one student in their master program. We are taking that, we literally have a spreadsheet. We're building the spreadsheet of the topics that University A is looking for, that University B is looking for, C is looking for, and what we're trying to do is take all of that data, all those data points, and meld them into a coherent course for you so that you'll have some confidence that, what we're learning in this class will be, in fact, valuable in your program. Now, the challenge is that, over the 35 programs here, which have different outcomes designed. That's the cool thing about this. All 35 programs are different, which gives you a lot of good choice, but also the prerequisite knowledges are different. And what we're trying to do is find a really good balance in those expectations, because what we want to do from our end on the instructor side is put together a course that these program directors can trust and put value to, so that when you submit your document that says you did this course, when you submit your document to that admissions committee, and that admissions committee, we're talking to these people, they will have a high degree of confidence of what your document is telling them. And we are hoping that including this document in your application will be, one of the aspects that will advance your application in the process. Because one of the things that is occurring is these programs are actually quite competitive. They're competitive for two reasons. One is some of the programs will have 30 or 40 students admitted every year. And those programs are the ones that are established. So well-known, right? So the more well-known a program is, the more applicants it's going to get, and the reduced probability, all things being equal, reduced probability that you'll be accepted into. The other profile of these programs is that many of them are just starting up. So, and this will continue from year to year. There's, off the top of my head, there's 4 or 5 starting up in September alone.
Probably also worth mentioning that,
Yep.
Related to what you were saying earlier, one of the reasons these programs have such different expectations and outcome plans is because some of them are in computer science departments, others are in physics departments, others are perhaps in math departments. So there is a real variety here of what they're expecting. And so it is kind of an interesting and challenging and fun situation. We're trying to get you guys ready for any one of these, but you can see how they would be different from one to the next.
Yes, thank you, Michael. And we'll introduce Mike and Deb, and I think we should just get to that soon. So let me finish this little monologue here. So they all have, so you've got a lot of choice on the student side, which is great. But that's absolutely correct. So many of these programs, all of the programs, basically start with a professor, and almost all of them. There's one that actually start from the top down, but they start from a professor, from a department, an orientation. Like, I'm a computer science guy, so I kind of think towards computer science. Most of the programs in quantum do start from physics broadly. But then what happens is that professor starts talking to other professors, et cetera, and pulls in people from math, pulls in computer science oftentimes, or engineering is a very important aspect of these degrees. So, but they all have an origin from someplace, and they typically have a bias towards one thing or another. So that bias will also mean that their expectation, so a department coming from a physics group, their expectation on your knowledge of physics will be much higher than like if you came to my university, where my expectations are much more less biased, I like to think, towards one physics, engineering, or mathematics, or what have you. But anyway, where I'm going with this is, for this course, we are in regular dialogue. I think I got 2 meetings next week with these programs, and trying to get them to understand what we're doing, but just as importantly, get input from them. So what you will see, I guarantee it, what you will see, particularly with the mathematics and the physics, we will be adjusting that literally week by week. Probably not to a large degree, because we already have 9 or so samples from these universities, and that they may not change that much. But I had a conversation with an Australian university that really kind of changed some of what we're doing. I don't want to say dramatically that you could see it, but definitely changed some of the mindset that we've of what we're doing here. So anyway, that's a good thing, but it also creates a little, instability perhaps from your end. But if it's unstable, that means we're tweaking it. So that's a good thing. So anyway, this is a incredibly valuable site from your perspective, I'd like to think. Let me just say one more thing. When it comes to master's degrees in general, first of all, I'm thrilled for you and excited for you that you're considering a master's degree. That's my assumption. Some of you may not be, but the vast majority of you are considering a master's degree in quantum technologies. One of the reasons this course exists is because I recall when I was aspiring for my MBA, I wanted to get into two particular universities, one or the other. They were my first choices. And so what I did, it took 2 years prior to me applying to these universities, I started to bulk up my application. So what I did was one university is in New York City, one university was in Washington, DC. Those are my two programs I was specifically interested in. So what I did was I studied, aspects of those programs, and I got to know the people, et cetera. But, and so what I did was, for the 2 years prior to my applying, I was positioning myself for those universities, right? So I did things like take Chinese language lessons. I attended their open houses. I got them to know me. And I'm hoping that you're taking that approach rather than just slapping out an application, because generally that doesn't work very well. So that's what this course is a part of, is that application prep part to make your application look more attractive to the schools that you want to get into, right? That's what we're here for, all right? I'm probably repeating that too much, but important things are important to repeat. I'm looking for my notes here. All right, a couple more things quickly as I drone on here, and I'm not seeing the chat, so if, oh, see, excellent. I see, yeah, the Barcelona one. In fact, I have a meeting with him. Jacobo put something about the Barcelona. Yeah, I have a meeting. In fact, I talked to him yesterday. I think I added the Barcelona program on here. Wait a minute, let me check. I think Barcelona's in here because I would have added them a few days ago, a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, there it is. So the Barcelona program, if that's what you referred to, because I recognize the URL. Yeah, I'm actually talked to him yesterday. We have a meeting on Monday to get more details about the new Barcelona program. And the Paris and the Sorbonne, that's great. Thank you for sending that. I'll have to dig into that later. Thank you. All right. Deb and Mike, can I pull you guys in as get the introduction and get my voice off the microphone? And what we can do, as we discuss what we can do, we can talk about the topics later. So let's just go through some introductions here. First of all, folks, I'd like to introduce Deb Goshall. Most of you probably know him. He's one of the two masterminds behind the Washington, DC Quantum Computing Meetup Group. You might see him in the introduction oftentimes, but he and his partner in crime, if you will, if I may, have been running that group for a few years. But Deb, this course actually came from a conversation with Deb that we had, I don't know, back in maybe January-ish. So he's part of the initial creation spark of this course. So he will be an instructor, as I will be partially, but he will be the primary instructor for this course. And then also we have on the camera there is Mike Daskal, who may not necessarily be a instructor per se. He's hot onto a new job in quantum, which is terrific. But he'll be helping out as he can work into his schedule as we go. So let me turn it over to Deb first. We'll get some introductions here. Deb, please, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. This is Debabrata Ghoshal, my full name, as you can will learn. But I am here. Okay, I cannot see this. Okay, just 1 second.
Your audio is fine.
Okay, but my video is not for some reason.
Your video is fine. We're seeing you.
Okay,
You're good.
I can see now. Okay, thank you. So, yeah, as Cheryl described that, we discussed for this course and we came up with something and we are starting off from today. But this is a course that, you will learn as much as we will learn also, so that we can continue for the further, in a regular semester-based course. So what we did is, I did, when Terrell gave me some 4 or 5 universities syllabus, I came up with something that we can start working on. Okay, so can I have the share screen?
I believe you should be able to. Your co-host, Deb.
All right. So what I came up with for the math.
Go larger.
Larger. All right. Is that okay?
Perfect. But don't forget to give us your background too, Deb.
Well, I have a background in quantum information science, as well as computer science and physics in my undergraduates and masters. And I was a consultant for software for many years. I'm still doing it here and there. But as you heard that Terrell mentioned that, I started the quantum computing meetup group in 2017, and it is pretty good going on. And many of you are, members. I can see the name, recognize the name. So you already know in some way, about me something. And you can always interact with me using the website of Washington Quantum Computing Meetup Group. Okay. Having said that, I'm just telling you that what I come up with for teaching the math, the syllabus, is about that. What I see is this: that 5 different groups in the math are important, and this is starting from number theory and trigonometry. Reviewing those are as important as anything else. Okay. So the first step is the number theory and trigonometry, then the complex numbers and calculus, and then it follows the linear algebra part. Now I, put down the aspects of linear algebra which are most important in quantum computing, and we'll touch upon on abstract algebra also, the basic fundamentals and concepts necessary to develop, the quantum information and quantum computing aspects, okay? And of course, probability and statistics, the very basics, and, some advanced topic, maybe, with some applications. So that's the core things in math that we will be covering in 3 weeks, okay? So you can understand that, we cannot go much, behind some basic concepts and definitions that you will learn more in your advanced course. But we want to make sure that, you get everything necessary to learn, because suppose there's notations, okay? So if you don't know the notation, you cannot follow any article, any journals or any books, okay? So you have to make sure that you can, go through the notations pretty good in all linear algebra and some of the statistics, probability, and all these things. So that is the idea of this 3 weeks for math. And we'll go over and some of the things, other topics with some applications would be associated. I just mentioned some of them, like waves or qubit, okay? So we'll cover those while teaching the math, how the qubits are represented, maybe, in notational forms and in other notation that we generally used in quantum computing. So we have to make sure that, we'll cover it during the math, but emphasis on the quantum aspects. So after that, we will, I will show you the physics part of the thing. I have it.
While Deb's doing that, when I see that list of math, I'm like, whew, good thing this is 14 weeks.
Yeah, and rest of the weeks we'll go over all the topics of physics. And physics, as you know, it's, many topics are there to cover. But this is what I came up with after, discussing and, having the list of the university's syllabuses, okay? So basically it is Newtonian physics, means classical and Hamiltonian history of quantum physics that we'll cover. Then all these optics, electricity, electromagnetism, thermodynamics, the other topics in physics, as you know, but we'll pick and choose whatever necessary to go forward, okay? So that we'll understand the notations and Dirac notations, coming from where. And from after that, the particle physics, some of the things necessary to understand our, the two main important aspects of quantum computing, which is superposition and entanglement. So we'll follow that. And after that, the spin and orbital motion and angular momentum, those are the related topics. And some aspects of electromagnetic dynamics because of the wave equation we need, and which follows the quantum algorithm. Now, these are the group I came up with so far, but the order may be different, but we will focus on those topics, those subject matter, so that you will have no problem, starting over a new master's levels course. And if we go to the next sections, we jot down some of the applications and in detail topics that we needed, like Stern-Gerlach experiment, which is the experiment for the classical to quantum transition, and then they needed the kits, brass and operators, operators mathematics, basis and matrices that we cover in the mathematics section already a little bit, but it will be so much in our physics. Measurement theory is needed, unitary evolution and spin and density matrices. These are the most important topics. And then the qubits and entanglement, these are the quantum computing topics that we have to cover in our program. Okay, so that's all I came up with, and it will be changing a little bit or expanding a little bit here and there, but mainly we will be focused on this. So this is all I came up with, math and physics. Okay, so far, Terrell. I mean, you're saying it today. Yeah, that whatever the final version of it I came up with. Okay, and Michael, if you have some inputs to it, please go ahead and
Let me just add quickly. You all heard that Deb wants to add more stuff. So don't worry. This is the challenge. There's a lot of stuff here, and we're working with the program directors of these respective degrees, and we're going to try to find the best something. We'll figure it out. That's our job. But there's an aspect to this. As you know, it's Python. We're thinking Python, math, and physics. First of all, the Python, I'll get to maybe later, but we'll incorporate Python throughout. But there's some major components missing in here that we'll need to certainly work in eventually, maybe not this time, maybe not this course, but at future courses. There's, complexity in computer science is an important thing to be able to talk about. And many of these programs have some requirements for engineering. So there's a lot here, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the world of graduate education. Anyway, Deb, you any other comments for this point?
No, as you mentioned that,
Thank
I talked to you this complexity theory. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to take at least one class for that. I don't know for the 14 weeks is available or not, but at least I will introduce the notations like, the big omega and small omega, the complexity things, so that, in literature, you always find those things.
Sure.
And if you don't know this, you cannot progress, you cannot go ahead and go to the next step of in the master's level. So we have to somehow incorporate those little things very carefully so that you'll have no problem,
Yep.
But you have to work hard also. That's the important thing. Each week we'll provide something, maybe, some exercise or something, homework, and you will have to come up with, your reading, and maybe you will input us this time a lot, and so that we can incorporate it in our next course. This is the better way of, handling the problem.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we'll definitely be missing some things in this first pass at the course. So we'll get this information. All right. Looks like we're getting a little Zoom bombed here, ladies and gentlemen. So if it continues, by the way, if you go to the website there that I showed you, there is a backup link. So if something gets ridiculous here, we're going to go to YouTube. All right. Anyway, the YouTube link's on that. We'll cover that more later. But yeah, so we may or may not get the computer science part in there. But Deb, can you just go back to the math list, and we'll get this stuff published to you all, in the coming days and weeks, et cetera. But to give you an idea, this is about just expectation settings today. Those of you who have not started a master's program or have an advanced degree, let me just give you that quick little lecture here. What made you successful, and I had this in the syllabus, I believe, and which we'll get into, but what made you successful as an undergraduate student will not work for being a graduate student. It's a different ball game. Just like when you went from high school to university, there's that, what made you successful at high school is not, those characteristics as a student is not going to make you successful at the next level. I want to tell you that right now. And one of the sub goals of this course is so that you don't get blindsided when you start a graduate course. We're going to try to run this as to the degree possible as a graduate course. So I'd rather you be surprised here and, you know, annoyed and frustrated here than when you arrive on your master's on campus. So we're going to try to make this as graduate-like as possible. And what you're going to find as you go through your educational ladders, you're going to find that there's less and less hand-holding as you go, and greater expectations that you are, as the learner, are doing the learning. The professors don't do the learning for you as they might have done, or are fully responsible for your learning. That's on you as you go up the chain there. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Debbie, can you make that a little bit bigger? So in this, if you think about it, we're meeting twice a week for 14 weeks. That's only 28 hours. And, you know, clearly we are not going to be teaching everything to the degree that you may need. So there's going to be some parts that you're going to have to do a deep dive on your own. We're going to do our best to give you the resources that you need, point you to the right places. Anyway, keep in mind, some of you, this math may be child's play, and it'll be the physics will be the hard part. It might be the opposite. You know, I'm coming from computer science, so this type of math and the physics for me is completely new. And so I've had to work through that kind of stuff. So each of you are different. Anyway, so there's the math list. We'll get this published to you in short order, the details, so you can get a sense. There was a question on the post in the chat. No, we don't cover QISC. We're not going to cover Q#. We're not going to cover quantum computing. This is a pre-master's course. Not one program director has told me that they want people that speak QISC, if you will, speak QISC. We're not. This is a master's degree. I would argue if you're a master's level student, you can learn QISC on your own. That's not what this graduate education is about. Anyway, get to you in a minute here, Mike. Let me just see. We got some chat here. Just want to make sure. So we're not going to. This is not a quantum computing course. This is a preparation for a master's degree in quantum technology.
I did invite them to ask if they had questions about any particular libraries. I'm not promising that we can answer it, but but I hope that's all right.
Libraries where these libraries should be properly covered.
Oh, that was my response, saying
okay.
Those in the course. But if you have a question, you can ask. I mean, I've looked at QISC a little bit. I'm not an engineer, but I mean, yeah, as Charles just said, that's not exactly it's not what we're aiming for here.
Yeah, it's got to be clear. We're not teaching quantum computing. We've got courses for that too, and all that kind of stuff. Just look at Quantum-Appalooza, and you've got that covered. We are.
And there's also, I mean, it's worth saying the documentation, for example, for QISC is phenomenal. So if you do have that level of quantum computing under your belt, this isn't the best venue for that. You're kind of there are some really rich resources, and in fact, IBM has some free courses that are great as well.
Yeah, but what we're going to be doing with the Python, though, we will be including Python throughout. Now, it won't be using the QISC libraries and that sort of thing, but we'll be introduced as Deb's going through the math. We'll be incorporating. All right, use this math library in Python, etc. But you know, we're not. We'll touch a qubit, as Deb indicated, but all right, Mike, can you give Deb? Are you good at this point?
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that introduction, Mike. Can you just introduce yourself and what your role will be in this?
Sure. So yeah, hi, I'm Mike. I guess my role here is kind of a bit funny. I won't be teaching, as Terrell said, I won't be teaching this time around. This is largely because I've just, I've just started a new job, or I'm about to start a new job, and I've just finished a PhD. So it's not a great time for teaching on my end, but I will be here as a resource. So I'm helping kind of set up some of the content of this course, and perhaps more practically, I'll be here holding office hours and as someone who you can email to chat with if you have any issues. So to give you a bit about my background, I've just finished a PhD in Foundations of Quantum Mechanics and Quantum Information. So this was kind of I kind of worked in between physics, computer science, and philosophy there. And I spent about 4 years, this was the university, yeah, I said University of Maryland. I spent about 4 years there teaching a course sort of like this. So it was an introduction to the difficulties of quantum mechanics for students of all different backgrounds at all different levels. So when Terrell mentioned this course, I said, hey, I can definitely help out here. This is stuff that I like doing. And so I won't be somebody whose face you see too often speaking, but I will be here to speak to in any capacity. And I mean, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but we did get a comment in the chat, or a question in the chat, asking about whether we'll be discussing philosophy of quantum mechanics and interpretations and metaphysics. We won't be doing that in this course, but that is part of what I've done. So if you have interest in that stuff too, feel free to reach out and we can chat on the side as well.
Cool. All right. Thanks. Thanks, Mike. So,
and session for the office hours. Can you discuss, Terrell, that Michael will be available there too, and maybe we can get questions, and we can discuss. Whoever can take students' questions.
Yep. So we have a syllabus for the course, and that's a work in progress. And ever so diligent Nathan has indicated that it's not mentioned in the syllabus that we're meeting twice a week, and that's kind of accurate. But the syllabus has been changing throughout the past week, if not daily, hourly. So we'll cover the syllabus here in a few minutes, but essentially, the course, the idea is that we'll have these Saturday events, just as we have right now. We will be taking attendance in these events in the future. And again, that's part of the reporting. But also, no, these Saturdays will not be recorded, or at least made publicly available in recording, where we'll make the introductory part here available. But when we get into the lectures, it'll be just like a normal classroom. So we will record it, but those recordings will not be available. This is part of the grit aspect of it. You need the discipline of being a student. So we're here to get you dialed into that such things. But we will record it, but that's for internal purposes only. So what we're referring to is like any course, we'll have open office hours at times during the week. And so right now on Tuesdays, I think it's 8 o'clock or so Eastern US time, there'll be one office hour. And these office hours are opportunities that you can just come and ask questions and get more clarification, one-on-one or one-to-N. That'll be much more interactive than this will be. So one is on Tuesday mornings, US time, and the other is on Saturdays immediately after class. So
half hour after class.
Thank you. Yeah, half hour after class, starting next week. So we will not start the Saturday open office hour until next week. But that'll be listed in the syllabus.
I'll also be available for other times by appointment. If you guys have any questions, you can email me, and if I can reply by email, I might do that. Otherwise, I might set up a time. I will be switching time zones by about 7 hours halfway through the course, so my office hour might change, and you'll get updates if it happens. Yeah,
well, we'll be updating things here, ladies and gentlemen. So be nimble. There's a question about the registered for the course. So right now it's going to be kind of loosey-goosey, if you will, when it comes to who's registered and that sort of thing. That what will happen in this course is right now we've got 65, and next week there'll be fewer, and the following week there'll be fewer. It's just natural. So the formal registration probably won't be for, a week or two. That also buys time for us to get our learning management system software dialed into what we're doing and that sort of thing. So for now, today we are not taking attendance, and there isn't really a formal registered notion of registration yet. Right now, it's about you coming in, finding out if this is a right course for you, and is it going to be worth your time and energy going forward?
I just want to, I just realized to take a step back to make sure this is clear to Nathan, we won't be meeting twice a week. There's one meeting on Saturday, right? And then one meeting Saturday and then the office hours. So in case there's a confusion there.
Yep. So we don't take attendance in the office hours. That's just, on those, for those subjects where you're going to need that extra TLC or what have you, that's where you can come in and you get all those little nitty gritty details. And
actually, Terrell, is this a good time to do those little surveys to see?
Yeah, actually, why don't we do that?
Sorry to interrupt. I hope that's.
No, that's cool. This is a classroom here. So, and sometimes I run a little long-winded, I hear. So please do. It's try to make it interesting. Yeah. So how about this? Let's run this poll. I've got your attention and people seem to be hanging. That's just terrific. So let me run a poll here to try to figure out who you are, not individually, but as a mass here. That'll help to inform us. And then we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and I'll go through the syllabus line by line and make sure there's clarity. Today is about making, laying the groundwork for the course. I was hoping to get some Python in, but I don't think we'll get very far. So let's get this poll out here. There they are. And so if each of you can respond to this. Can you see the poll, people? Can you see the poll, people? Hey, people, can you see the poll? So just answer those. This is not a test, but just to give us an idea of where we are as a group, at least today. Take a couple minutes there. That's weird.
Is it working? Can you guys see it?
They won't see it yet. Well,
no, but it's
can you see the poll?
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's reappeared.
Yeah, something weird happened there. So what we can see on our side, we can see as people answer, we can see the activity, and then when I end polling, you'll be able to see it as well, I believe.
No, yeah, I can see it.
So let's take a minute or two. I'll be right back. Got to Looks like we're pretty stable there. We got 58 of 64.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, let me end
And can
polling
we-
here.
Are we, yeah, can we
There we
share
go.
some of these results with the,
Yep, hang tight.
Yeah. no, that was, I wasn't sure if it was doable.
There we go. Yeah.
So now let me just, there was a reason that I asked you if we could do this now, which was, I just wanted to make a quick comment about what you just said. The office hours are for you guys to come and ask for clarificatory questions. And the reason is that in the field like this, look, for quantum mechanics, for quantum computing, you need a bunch of things, right? You need math, you need quantum mechanics, you need some computer science, you might need some other stuff as well. And the thing is that I promise you, so you'll note from this poll, people are coming in this course from a bunch of different directions. You should not be embarrassed if you have a question. I want to press it. If you have a question, there are a lot of people that have that question. And we will likely not be able to go over each of these topics in sufficient depth for everyone in every one of our lectures. So please don't hesitate. If something isn't clear, come to one of us. We're going to do what we can to help you out, because we don't expect anyone to be able to get through this without getting a little bit of attention in whatever field they aren't really used to. So yeah, that was why I wanted to highlight this. I want you all to see how diverse this group is and to recognize that no one is going to have everything you need in a way. And that's why this course exists, because for the master's programs, you need a little bit of everything. That was my little diatribe about office hours. I'll stop now.
No, please, cool. It's a challenge though, because Mike's much more eloquent than I am in his speech. So, I'm just responding. So, to a question. There we go. All right. Yeah. So looking at the results quickly, I think you all can still see them. Look at the computer science. Look at the first question there. I got computer science, physics, and engineering. And mathematics. So that's exactly what we're talking about here. Is that just in a random like sampling of this class, you're going to have some weak spots. Computer science, I come from computer science, so I can kind of pretty much feel where your weak spots are going to be. So there will be times in this course where you're going to be like, oh, this is boring. Other times you'll be like, oh man, this is brutal. But we want to get that boring and brutal stuff out of the way before you start your program. Because when you start a program, you're not going to have time to get over any potholes. The question number two, whoops, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I was looking at question number 2. Question number 1 about the education, that's just to get us a sense. We are basically building this course assuming that you have a university degree or are in the near completion of that degree. So keep that in mind. If you're in high school, everybody's different and everybody's background's different. So high school in India might mean something different than high school in the United States. So you're more than welcome to participate. That's not a problem. We welcome that. If you've already got a master's degree, then some of this stuff, the discipline, you've already aware of that. That's cool. Looking at question number 2, yep, it's a variety of backgrounds. Question number 3, are you planning to enter? Not planning, that's fine. Welcome. You are planning or expecting to apply. That's you're the specific target audience here in particular. Great to see those of you who have applied who are already in a master's program. Congratulations. Some of the master's program directors I asked them to make their new enrollees aware of this course. Some of you have received instructions from your program directors to be doing things between now and August or so. That's what we're doing. We're taking that information, those 2-pagers or whatever that program lead told you. That's what we're trying to do, is help facilitate you getting through that process so you don't have to do it on your own. And which time zone are you in? Okay, this is really important for, working out timing and all that. It looks like there's 50% from India. Hey, folks, welcome aboard. So this is helping to inform, we might shift around teaching office hours and that sort of thing. So great. Let me stop sharing this. I got to make sure I have the data. I do. Thank you for that. Mike, Deb, you think now is a good time for taking a 5-minute break, let people walk around, and then we'll come back and walk through the syllabus, because that'll make things more formal. Deb, you okay for a break here?
Yes, and also for Python, sort of syllabus or whatever you plan to do, you can go over a little bit.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So folks, let's take a 7-minute break here. Get up, walk around. I'll put the timer back on again. And we'll come back in about 7 minutes. Get up, walk around. All right. So let me get tactical here. Here is the website you want to bookmark for now. We'll get into a little bit fancier mode as the course goes on. Lots of stuff going on behind the scenes. One of those is they get a learning management system up for you. Let me make sure this gets a little larger. So for now, you can consider this the center of the universe when it comes to information. First of all, there's a YouTube broadcast link. So if for any reason we need to shut down and go into broadcast only mode, here's the link that will be broadcasting to. So keep that in mind. Hopefully we won't need to go there. Contacts. So homepage, if you will, for contacts. Here's the repository page right now. The meetup site is really just an entry point for getting started here. We'll shift off of that, but for now, if there's any questions or communications that you want to or have during the course of the week or what have you, put them into the meetup tool, and we'll get back to you. But that way people can see your question again, as Mike said, and you all know you've been through university. If you have the question, somebody else does as well. So try to put the questions in a public forum so that the answers can be enjoyed by everybody, and we don't have to answer the same thing over and over again. We'll try our best to act like regular university professors here, so keep that in mind. If you do need to get a hold of any of us through for some personal issues, here's my email address. We ask that you put QISC 500 on the subject line so we don't lose it. I literally get, I don't know, anywhere from 20 to 30 emails sometimes per minute. So I can miss things in that space with this email address, but put QISC 500 and I'll a bit better chance I'll find it. Deb's email is here as well. Mike, I did not add yours yet, but
my last name is spelled wrong.
Uh-oh.
Go up, SH.
Thank you. And I'll, I'll set up a dedicated email address for this, which I'll send over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deb, I'm just viewing this right now. I'll fix that.
Yeah.
Apologies. Thank you.
Mentioning.
Yep. Thank you. Should we have to get off Zoom for any reason, we'll jump to the YouTube site, or if that's better for you. Anyway, no, not if it's better for you. We will only go to YouTube Live if we get Zoom bombed and we have to go there. So normally we will not be using YouTube. And of course, we've got the master degree homepage here. So, okay, important step. It's important that until we get our LMS, Learning Management System, sorted out, the only way we can communicate with you as a group is through the Meetup site. So what you definitely need to do is sign up go to the sign up for May 8th and be sure you register via Meetup for the May 8th version of the class so that you get the Zoom link prior to the class. The Zoom link on Saturdays will change, at least in the near term, but eventually we'll settle down to, one Zoom link that we have. Yes, you need to RSVP individually at this point, because that's the only way each time. That's the only way we can communicate with you at this point. Once it stabilizes and we get down to having a learning management system and we have regular attendees, then you won't need to register each week. This is just for the first 2, probably 3 weeks. Otherwise, we can't communicate with you because we don't know who you are really. All right, so let's get to the syllabus. This is always the fun part. But let me precede this too, and I'll mention it again. When talking to the master's degree program directors, it's quite clear. They want the students to be able to do the problems, do the activities, and demonstrate that. Knowledge, like having watched YouTube videos, reading books, that's helpful, but what they want their students to do is actually do activities, do problems, do problem sets. This is not a meetup event. This is a course. So keep that in. We will remind you, but this is going to be activity based. There will be assignments, there will be perhaps projects, there will be activities for you to do. Now, the degree to which we collect those activities and evaluate them, et cetera, that's what Deb, Mike, and I have to work out, based on what input we're getting from the program directors, the master degree program directors. But this is this is a university-like course. It is not passive. You've all been there. So, keep that in mind. To get to the end, you're going to be needing to do stuff outside of class, like any other university course. Most of you have been there, done that. So you know what I'm meaning. But this is not a meetup type of platform here. Anyway, all right. So we're calling this the Foundations for Quantum Information Science. It's got 0 credits, not affiliated with any university. Let me go a little larger on this. Anybody know how to get rid of this over here? There we go. Again, the objectives are to prepare students for those who are planning to apply or those who have been accepted into a master's program, specifically at one of those 30 some odd programs on that list that we showed earlier. It is not a quantum technology course. You'll get plenty of that over the next 2 years once you get into the program. Presently, there's 3 goals. One is to get you up to speed on Python and make sure you can utilize that as a tool for your studies. You will be using Python more than likely in these programs. And they are asking that you have some level of Python competence. So what we're going to do in this course, we're going to try to get it so that you're comfortable with it, and you don't need to really think too hard about it when it comes time to do something in class. Some of the assignments will, like in the math, will include Python as a given, because we want you to be able to demonstrate that stuff. So not everything will be paper and pencil. Mathematics and physics, et cetera. So here, make this a little bit larger. So here's what we're looking at. We're meeting days on Saturdays, as you know, 8:30 to 11:30 Eastern time, USA, via Zoom. And we're going to go all the way till the end of July, people. So block off the calendar for Saturdays next three months. The first, presently, the first open office hour is on Tuesdays from 8 to 9. I'll be manning that one. The Zoom link for the office hours is below here. That should be, 2 or 3 people, 5 people. So we should be okay on the Zoom bombing issue. So that will be static unless we change it. And then, Mike's going to be running his office hours on Saturdays, a half hour after class ends, and he'll be using that same Zoom link. We'll get this stuff stabilized as we go. So this is something that there's no attendance taken. This is entirely up to you if you need some help over any rough spots or just want to talk math or what have you. Important points. So we will not be publicly releasing the recordings of the lectures. This is part and parcel to get you into that discipline of attending a class and showing up and getting out of bed or whatever you got to do. Again, things will be bumpy. Please remove any expectations that we'll have a smooth flow. I guarantee you it won't be smooth. We're working on the details and changing strategies as we go.
That's why it's free.
And that's why it's free. Yes, probably the next one won't be free because hopefully we'll have this inside of university. So this is a graduate level, and we're going to do our best to make it gradual level thinking. Yes, it's without warranty. But we rest assured, it's in everyone's interest to make this course as good as possible. It's just, this is much better than us taking 3 or 4 months and pretending and what if. Here we can do that dry run. You guys know the drill. You get it. Student attendance will be recorded starting here. I say the second class. So anything in writing usually trumps anything I'd say as a professor. So I'll start recording attendance next week. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, so, it is kind of like a grade you'll get at the end. You'll get the certificate that says things. So, just be aware it is recorded. The attendance is recorded, but that may or may not be an issue, right? If you're you got a PhD in physics and math and all that, and you're going into a master's program, you don't need to care about that really. But it is an indicator to keep in mind. So, yeah, the syllabus is in this at this link. So you want to make point of bookmarking this link because everything should be a derivative of it. If not, we will. So, okay, now this is an important point because some program directors, not that they were requiring it, but they're asking, well, do we have information about the students, who are taking the course and all that? And, because there's a great mailing list for them if they want to attract you. And the answer is absolutely not. This is a course that will be treated like any university course, at least as per the United States. Your privacy is absolutely important, will be respected at all costs. No, other than something like, it's just like, those of you who are familiar with the United States, I don't know other countries that you're from, but we can answer the question, was John Doe in your class? Was John Doe registered for your class? And we could say yes or no, but that's it. So, we follow the laws of the United States in this case. But we are not here to collect information. We are not here to give out information or any of that kind of noise that we deal with every day in our world. But I just want to make sure it's said that, no way, Jose. But we will give you a certificate. We will give you a document that reflects what you did in this course. And then you can send that document and use that to who you like. But if you give us permission, or if you want a reference or something like that, as professors, professors give written recommendations. So don't flood us with those requests yet, but we're more than happy. I probably so far have written three master's degree recommendations so far, and a couple undergrads actually in quantum sciences. So, that's only if you ask us. So you'll be provided with a completion report. So we're calling it a completion report, the SCR right now. So that's what I'm talking about at the end. You can give that to whoever you like. We're aiming for predictability, stability, and all that kind of stuff, but things could change. We don't want that to happen, but the calendar is probably the most sacred thing because people plan their lives around, class time and all that kind of stuff. The learning management system will be rolled out as soon as we can, second or third week, probably. Course completion report, I guess it's student complete. See, this is a bug here, right? I got course completion report and then the SCR. Anyway, this report will report on your activities, attendance, any assessment activities we go through. Mike mentioned that he's working on some things in the background. He'll probably be the mastermind behind what those assessment activities look like, and we'll work out how to do them later on. But there will be some assessment, third-party documentation, etc. Here's the correct information. Mike's information will be added when available. There are no required textbooks for this course. If you are already entering a program, your program director has probably told you what textbooks you want to focus in on. We have those textbooks. We know what those textbooks are. We have those textbooks in-house. We are using those same textbooks to prepare this course.
And it might be worth mentioning that if you have a request, like if you want to find a good book to read, there are so many texts out there that are better for different backgrounds. So if you are looking for something, get in touch with one of us. We might be able to, once we know exactly what it is that you need, we can offer a recommendation based on that, which is probably more useful than a blanket suggestion that won't really be useful for everyone.
Yeah, we do. So thanks, Mike. We are accumulating this information, again, program by program. So one of the things that we may ask, well, which program are you, where are you now, and which program are you thinking, or programs are you thinking to applying for? Because that will help narrow down those answers as we get our act together. So can we give the list we're drawing from? The list of the universities that we're drawing from are shown in the master's degrees list, master's degree website. Right now, the conversations in which schools are confidential, but I gave you a big clue. I've talked to the Canadian and the American schools, missing a couple still. I've talked to the Australian schools, and Europe is coming up next. When we get enough, and I think I've done 9 of them so far. When we get enough data to make it worthwhile, we will be going back to these schools and saying, here's what we think you told us. Here's what we are doing. Can we reconcile that?
Oh, Terrell, I think he's actually talking about the list of textbooks, but.
Okay. Well, anyway, this is the beautiful thing. So let me just, but that's part of what I'm saying is the textbooks are part of this. So we will have information that will be incredibly valuable to you, and it'll be what textbooks they're using and all that kind of stuff. So we're collecting that information. We'll be going back to the program directors again and saying, here's what we think you said. Here's what we are doing. Can we correlate those and see what the delta is? And it won't be an exact match. We won't cover everything, or we'll cover more than they're expecting, but that will include the textbooks and all that kind of stuff. Once that step's done, and this is months from now, ladies and gentlemen, because this takes months to talk to these people. Once that's done, then I'll ask each one of them, is it okay to publish this and make it available? My gut is telling me most will say yes. Once that's done, then we will absolutely make that information public. So, it's all there. But in the meantime, we can work behind the scenes. If we know you're applying at Wisconsin, we can answer appropriately. But eventually we'll get to a very public list. It's going to be extremely valuable. It won't be done before the end of this course though. But for students in the coming years, this will be extremely valuable. But it will include textbooks and that kind of stuff. So anyway, the main takeaway from the course material is you should not need to buy anything, to get through this course. We'll do everything possible to stay off the balance sheet, off the expenses sheet. So I'm becoming very aware of the time here, but what we plan on doing here is again, we can't teach everything to the depth that needs to be taught, et cetera, et cetera. So what we do intend to be doing is giving you resources so that during the week you can do things on your own. Over the past 5-10 years, YouTube's just become an incredible resource. And many of you know there's some incredibly awesome physics videos out there with the graphics and illustrations and stuff. We're getting that together and we'll try to package that up. I think most of you know what I'm talking about. If not, don't worry, we'll get it to you. But we do plan on including, links to videos, sometimes as an entire replacement for the topic, because we just don't have the time. Sometimes just as an addition to it. And sometimes, if it's a spot that you really need work on, like I've been working on studying waves, I don't know, for months now, so I've watched practically every YouTube. I've got this book, I just got another one the other day. So I've got 2 books now just on waves and all that math and science behind waves. Anyway, so we'll do the best we can to curate some resources for you. Not a lot of great, we'll be making progress as we go. So keep that in mind. But the point here is, we'll get resources to you. We'll be working on what kind of activities we'll be assigning and such, which ones will be required to return and that sort of thing. So just remain nimble on that. We'll be talking Python, et cetera. So here is, what we're thinking about over the next 14 weeks. And this is probably going to be stable, where we're thinking, two more weeks on Python. We'll get there. But Python, again, will be kind of covered throughout to a degree. We'll be talking about the various libraries that are important. The mathematics here, and then the physics. Here's our introduction. Go ahead.
Just one little note there. It's worth keeping in mind that, although these are divided, there's a sense in which this is all cumulative, right? So we're going to be starting with Python, and that's going to be continued throughout. And the math that we're going to cover is obviously going to be brought in the physics. So for those of you who kind of say, oh, I know Python, well, Python might be a little bit exceptional because if you know Python, it's a little bit easy to pick up on it. But certainly for the math, even if you know the math, it's worth at least sitting in and well, certainly you're going to have to do the assignments, because when we get to the physics side, we expect that to be on the top of your mind, right? So don't think that this is entirely modular, even though it might be presented like that.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, no, this stuff is building. This is by design, it's building. And so we'll be incorporating, that's why the math is here. That's why the Python is where it is, because we'll be incorporating the prior stuff. You know, what I don't want to happen is, and I've been there as a student so many times, is that you get through the course and then after the course, someone asks you a question. And statistics is a perfect example in my lifetime. You know, I've taken, I don't know, statistics maybe 4 or 5 times during my career of being a student, which is still ongoing. And, you know, in the early days, I'm just like everybody else. You learn it just enough to get through that course, right? Because you're bombarded with all these other things. What I'm hopeful and we're hopeful for is that we can engineer this course so that you understand this stuff. It's a high goal. You know, I got A's in statistics, not all the time, but I think I got one somewhere along the line. But I'm telling you, I did not understand it to the degree that I needed it when I was doing my PhD. You know, so if I had actually understood it deeply, then the statistical part of my PhD, for example, would have been a no-brainer. I would have focused in on the higher level stuff. So where I'm going with this is we're going to do our best to try to, you know, so if you already think you know linear algebra, you need to have it inside and out. You need it to be second nature. Python, you need it to be second nature. Now, can we do that in 14 weeks? No, but can we give it a good kickstart? Yes. So that's the thing that we're looking for. It's not about being able to pass the test, because in your lectures, when you get to Wisconsin or you get to you know, Duke or UCLA and their programs, or any of the Europeans, they ain't stopping for you. And they're going to expect that you know this inside and out. So Mike, it looks like you're about to say something. Any? No? Okay. So anyway, I don't want to drill that down, and we want to get some questions here. So do take the time. We've got our bios in the background at the end of the syllabus. You know, I guess we all have our PhDs. We've been there. I've got a couple master's degrees. Deb's got a master's degree in here, I think, as a PhD by default. Mike as well. So we've kind of been there, done that sort of thing. But this being quantum, we might know a lot of stuff, even individually or as a group, but that doesn't suggest we know everything. So, you know, ideally in this course, you know, your skills and knowledge is just as valuable as ours. So, you know, we can work together on this and try to bring your expert knowledge in any particular areas, bring that to the classroom and to the discussion. So I think I better shut up here. Mike, Deb, anything else to add? We can just go into some questions and respond to things at this point. We're going to skip the Python for now. Well, let me hold on a minute. Let me jump to the Python really quick, just to get it out there. So I'm going back to the main thing here. Here in this directory is class content, and so your assignment is to take a look at this Python. These are just pointers. I didn't get to talking about what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the standard library in Python, but here are some references depending on your starting point. In fact, I've got a poll to do here. Wait a minute. I've got a couple videos in here for you, depending on your starting point. So take a look at this and check it out. The stuff at the top, you want to start to become familiar with. If you know Python, you probably already are. And
Terrell,
Go ahead.
just to clarify, should students by next week, should they have Python installed and ready to go? Should we make that an assignment, if you will?
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
just make sure you guys, if anybody's unsure about how to get Python running, shoot an email to one of us, and we can help you out there. But you should be able to find it. I mean, there's a lot of documentation on that.
Google's your friend.
Yeah.
It's graduate level, Mike. Yes, you need to register for every week. So let's take that one more thing and then we'll get the questions here, unless I think of something before. Oh yeah, we do have a poll. We have a Python poll, a PP. But first, yes, you do want to register. I think I have my screen sharing here. So please do, if you're planning to be here next week, and I hope you are, please do register for the second week, which is this one right here, May 8th, 9:30, week 2. And I'll publish this right now so that the email goes out to everyone. So yes, do enroll for next week. Absolutely, because that's the only way we can get the Zoom message to you.
So Terry, I have a
yes, sir.
question about the assignments.
Yep.
Are you going to put the assignments in the main website, and where the people will look into?
Yes, this URL here is the focal point for the course. So when we have assignments, when we have documents, any artifacts for the course, we'll put them into this website, into this web page.
Okay.
Yep. So this is an introductory day. We're not going to get to the Python. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just saw somebody was having trouble seeing your screen, but others are not. I don't have any issue.
Yeah. Okay. Reboot Zoom. You know Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me get a poll here, and then we'll just fire away on the questions, because then I've done a brain dump already. So hold on a second here. Here's a poll. Polls. I'm going to get out of screen share. It doesn't seem to want to do what I want it to do. Bear with me. Well, that's cool. Bear with me. There it is. All right. So here's a second poll. This is Python, and you've got 30 seconds to answer this poll. No Google, please. There are 3 questions. Answer them to the best of your knowledge. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. I'll shut up for a minute. I'll give it another 20 seconds. Go ahead, give it an answer, everybody, please. Got 9 more. I'm 2 of them, so 7 more. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Stop. Polling is ended. Let me share the results. First line of code. That's a trick question, ladies and gentlemen. That is absolutely invalid. Anybody want to put it in the, well, it's invalid because there's no colon at the end of the def. Now one could, now here's another one. Number 2, is that valid? I would argue it is. Let me jump back to the first one. When I put this together, I was saying, well, it's invalid for 2 reasons. One is there's no colon at the end, and the other is that there's somebody who knows Python could have said, well, there should be 2 underlines here in front and 2 underlines in the back. There's kind of 2 errors here, but technically that's not an error, right? So here I have the double, I forget what we call those, the double Dunlins or whatever, the double underlines. This is valid as far as I know. And an anonymous function is a lambda. So good. So this gives us gives you a sense of you know, we may not know Python as much as we need to know. You'll want to know what lambdas are and what an anonymous function is, et cetera. But, you know, no problem here, because that's, if everybody had the correct answer in all 3 of these, I'd probably drop the Python section. So anyway, good stuff. Let me download it to make sure I don't lose it. FYI, stop sharing. All right. Deb, Mike, anything in particular you want to say proactive? Can we open it up for any questions?
Yeah, I've got nothing else. Questions would be good though.
Yep. Well, that's my point, Pinaki. It should be double underline, but invalid, underline, int, init, and underline is not invalid, right? It's not doing what you want it to do, what I assume you want to do, but I don't think that's invalid, actually. I doubt it's invalid. It should be double underscore init underscore. I mean, that's how I always use it, or we want to use it for, you know, for classes and stuff. Any questions, people? Can't believe you've been here this long. That's part of the grit. No, it won't. Well, it will still initialize a function, nevertheless, I guess. No, it won't, unless you tell it. I mean, it's a function just like anything else with the single underscore. So, but it won't, you know, Python isn't going to look for underscore init underscore. It's looking for double underscore init double underscore when it sets up the class instances and that kind of stuff. What kind of prerequisite do we need here before we proceed? Hey, if anybody needs a microphone on, it'd be a lot better. Just let me know, because we can open it up. What do you mean, Abdullah? Do you want the microphone there? Earlier there was one, how to make a submission assignment. Yeah, so when we have the learning management software set up, you'll be able to submit assignments and stuff.
So Abdullah, there aren't specific prerequisites, but you will be expected to be able to follow up on anything that you don't understand. So that's to say, when we go through the mathematics, you know, we're going to be giving some of the material here, but if there's something that you aren't sure on, it's kind of on you. And this is an important skill to develop as you're entering graduate school, to follow up on it, see if you can figure it out. And if you can't, if there's a particular issue you're having trouble with, to follow up with us. So yeah, there is no defined prerequisite. And part of the reason is that we are expecting students from all different directions to come to a course like this, because that's kind of the state of quantum information science, to be honest. But yeah, there is this kind of requirement that you have this drive to kind of follow up on things that you weren't too sure of. Is that a fair answer, Taro?
More than fair. Yeah, this is graduate.
Mhm.
So, but in the beginning, it's going to be rocky because, you know, we're here to help you fill those gaps. But you know, sometimes we might have to smooth over some things, but that's what the teaching, the office hours, open hours are for individuals to help fill those specific gaps.
I'm getting a few private questions that I actually think would be good to address publicly.
Yeah, please use the everyone, everybody. I'm getting private ones too. Go
So
ahead.
actually, Priyanka just put this publicly. Do we, and this is really a question for you, Terrell, do we want to specify that they should be using Anaconda or Jupyter Notebooks for the Python section?
For the Python section, I will not be expecting you to follow along on your keyboard as I go. We don't have enough time for that. I'm going to be waving hands and stuff like that. So on the Python, you know, you could use whatever version of Python you'd like. I don't really care. No, we don't care about that. We're not going to be at that level. Now, I have two videos. If you're completely new to Python, we grabbed, you know, two, I wouldn't say random videos, I've seen them, but two videos that we put links into that you can go visit. But any YouTube video on Python will help you smooth that over. But no, it's not going to be like hands-on in class. This is graduate level. We don't do that.
But do we have a in terms of kind of submission of assignments? Do you think that would be? I'm deferring to Terrell for this because he's kind of in charge of the Python section here. For anybody who's curious.
Yeah, cool. For the assignments, Python's Python.
Okay. And similarly, somebody else asked about whether there are any libraries that you're going to need. There aren't. This is going to be Python from the start. And earlier on, we discussed that we actually won't be getting into the quantum libraries because that's really the material for the master's course that's meant to follow this course. So, no, to answer your question there won't be any individual libraries you need.
There's a question about Jupyter Notebooks, which is a very good question. What we're doing is driven by those master's programs. There's no evidence that Jupyter Notebooks are used nor of any value. Now, that's from the program's perspective. That doesn't mean, you know, you might want to use a Jupyter Notebook. And those of you who have taken all the QISC and, you know, and Q# and all that, I mean, it's like, you know, Jupyter Notebook City, which is fine, but there's no evidence that that's required for a master's program. So we're not dealing with that. Besides, I don't like Jupyter Notebooks. You know, I'm the professor. But, you know, seriously, it's driven, great questions, driven by those master's programs, and no one's mentioned Jupyter Notebooks. Yep, you're welcome. The links are located where? So any links or artifacts for the course at this point, you know, here's your resource. That will change eventually. I'll have a much nicer URL and a much nicer GUI and all that. Mike, Debbie, you seen any other questions that I might have missed here?
Nothing on my side.
No, nothing from my side also. So
Okay.
everything also. Thank you all.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for the thanks, Ramesh. Yeah. You know, little, you know, why do we do this? Well, for me, if you really want to learn something, teach it. I'll just leave it at that.
So I did just get a question about somebody says, you know, they kind of know Python already. So look, if you know, it's going to happen for most of you that you're going to know some of the material in this course. We mentioned this a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't treat this course modularly because it's all going to be building on itself. So even if you do know some of the material and some weeks are going to be a little bit repetitive for you or a little bit elementary for you, that's kind of just the way it's going to be. And that's the nature of quantum information science right now. So there are no prerequisites, but if you do know Python already, yeah, there are going to be a couple of weeks where you're going to be, you know, just doing stuff, you know, but that's going to be the way it is.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. And I've been in that situation, but here's the scary thing. And you've all have been, you know, most of you have been through university at least once, right? at one level. And I don't know about you, but I know sometimes where I thought I was big man on campus and I thought I knew something. So I chilled out for a week or two, and then I come back to class in week 3, for example, and they did something that was new to me, you know, because you don't know everything. And so, and then I was like, you know, hit like a brick hit me, like, oh no, what's that? And now you start this vicious, dangerous cycle of being confused. The trick is don't get confused. You know, so just do the work, show up for the class at a minimum, you know, so, and keep an eye on it. If you're an Python expert, wonderful, but you just, you know, just keep an eye on it. That doesn't mean you need to watch all the videos. You know, you don't need to watch all the videos and all that. Some people might need to do that. So this is, you know, graduate school is where you start using your judgment. You know, when I did my MBA, for example, you know, we had, I don't know, 60, 70 hours worth of homework a week. I'm kid you not. And one of the skills you want to develop is which assignment do you do? To what degree do you do it, et cetera. That's one of the skills you need to develop at the graduate level, because we're going to flood you with stuff. And you need to figure out for yourself what's important, what's not, based on are you working a full-time job, et cetera, et cetera. It's in my philosophy, for whatever it's worth, I wasn't there to be a A1 student. I was there to figure out how to learn and be able to learn what I need to learn when I need it. Two different things. But that's part of the skill you got to develop as a student as you get into the higher levels. At least in my experience. Mike, Deb, I don't know. How are you guys?
Graduate school is about. It's about learning how to learn, right? And it's
and sorting out what's important and what's not.
Yeah,
you know, I did an executive MBA, which, you know, it's even fire hose city. Plus, you got a full-time gig, you know, full-time job. So that's a skill you need to develop, and we'll get you there. We'll get you started.
There is. This is even more true in the context of quantum mechanics, because for example, those of you who already know linear algebra, you already know basic quantum mechanics. You just don't know it yet. But if you were to skip over the math and jump in on the first quantum lecture, you're going to have no idea what's going on, because Dirac introduced a new notation for quantum mechanics that makes quantum mechanics better. So even though some of the material will be stuff that you know, it really is a context uniquely, I think, where you do need to kind of just sit through some of the introductory stuff again from the start. And this is just because at the end of the day, the quantum world is weird. So we need to talk about it in a particular way. So
the whole world's weird, man.
Yeah, the quantum world's weirder.
You know, I've been in IT for, I don't know, 4 or 5 decades, and I still look at introduction to data processing. I still look at introductory courses all the time, because my context, my level of understanding is different. And when I go to that same intro course or same intro video, my perspective's different, and I get deeper and deeper, and it becomes more a part of me. This is really important with the math part. I'm telling you, with quantum, when you're sitting there trying to design a circuit, some of you have gone through the QISC courses, you don't want to be thinking about the math. It's got to be burned in here. So even if you think you know it, take the opportunity to do it again, make it more internal. When Paul McCartney writes music, he's not thinking about notes. He's not thinking about the mechanics. He's at another level, for example. And that's really important, really important. When I program computers, I'm not thinking about the syntax. I'm not thinking about, you know, this, you know, how to do a for loop. You're at a whole nother level. You need to get there with that math in particular, and probably that physics. Well, lived in Las Vegas. Wow. How can you live in Las Vegas? Boy, whew. I've been to Vegas. That's a heck of a town. Using a real-time model to study the and then coming financial hack. Yeah, working 20 hours. So it says trained brain. Yeah. Sounds like John. That's what graduate school is about. Now, if some of you are going to be working during graduate school, you know, it's even more of a challenge. All right, got to get you out of here. I got an actual quantum class, QISC 5:30 coming up, 1 o'clock, 4 hours. That's something else. Anyway, all right, guys, gals, last call. Okay, sign up for next week. We're going to start doing, subject matter stuff. And, we'll roll up the sleeves and start to roll. Hope you can make it. If you don't make it next week, sign up for the third week, et cetera, whatever meets your needs. Thank you all. See you later. Oh, no. Hey, Mike, Deb. Is Deb still here? Guess what? I forgot to push the record button.
Well, that's all right. I mean, it's all.
Well, see, that's why you have backups. It went to YouTube, so YouTube's got the auto recording.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Anyway, all right, Mike. Catch you later. Guess Deb's gone. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
Everyone.